Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Halo Flashpoint, the new two-player starter set, red versus blue from Mantic games, made with the Deadzone rules engine and of course licensed from 343 Studios and Microsoft. So for Halo fans out there, this is exactly what it looks like. It is an arena deathmatch battler set in the Halo universe, designed to get two players, 14 plus, between 30 and 90 minutes worth of gameplay, playing an arena deathmatch of Halo. It's funny because I do feel like this is one of those franchises where the players have gotten to the age where this is almost a retro game. And what I'm excited about in particular, not necessarily the franchise, although I will say I come from a generation of people that like we would take the day off or the weekend off when a new Halo game would come out after Halo 1, where you and your buddy would just buy a case of beer and sit on your couch and you would like couch co-op playing through it until you could beat it on Legendary. I definitely did that with Halo 2, Halo 3, and Halo Reach. There's a not zero chance that that was like a good chunk of my 20s. And this seems to be for them. So what do you get in the box? You get 8 Spartan models in red versus blue, all the variety poses and weapon loadouts. All your favorite loadouts are in here: the battle rifle, the assault rifle, the sniper rifle, and I believe there's even a dude with a pistol. All your favorite weapon loadouts. The pistol was the best in Halo 1, by the way. A rulebook, an actual playmat, pre-colored card tokens and terrain, 10 weapon cards, 8 player models, 8 player/model cards, which is like your stat card basically, 2 reference sheets, 12 8-sided dice, and 6 command dice. Now this does run, like I said earlier, on the Deadzone engine. So if you've ever played Deadzone before, that means you're using opposed dice pools for fighting and a command dice set that can unlock special abilities that you use over the course of the game. This is definitely Mantic's shot at a Christmas morning test friendly box set, which means opening it up immediately, what do you get? Well, you get Flashpoint, and that is, how do I put these things together? Immediate instructions on putting together the card stock terrain and laying out your battlefield. You get a lovely poster mat. Now the first thing I noticed about this poster mat, and take notice of this, is how non-reflective it is. It's also in a really high quality paper, not poster mat. And for your first mission, comes with a side. So there's the full-size cubes, which is on this side, so playing your full-size game. The other side has all of your quick reference material on it for playing your first game. So the introductory mat is, here's how to play your first scenario. The other side is play your, ongoing games and campaigns and stuff like that. Then we have our rulebook, which I'll get to in a second, all of our punchable card stock terrain, and our miniatures and dice. So you get a command dice for all your command pools, all your card stock, heavy card weapons and Spartans, like unit cards. So how your red versus blue team basically stat up. And every side has a picture of that character and also their names. So Spartans Veda, Spartan Deadeye, Spartan Brawler, and Spartan Mark 7. So like whatever, basically, you get 2 sets of each of these because each team comes with 1 of each. So you get 1 Spartan's Mark 7, a Brawler, Zvezda, and a Deadeye. And they're basically your classes, right? They're like whatever your weapon loaded is to start with. And you get 4 separate miniatures for them too. So there's your Mark 7 in blue. Miniatures are of a nice kind of like board game pre-assembled quality. Not too much flash on them. I will say they're a nicer quality than I thought they were gonna be. I'm significantly more impressed with the miniatures than I thought I would be for the board game quality. There's not a lot of warping. And because they come out of the box ready at like the red and blue, they pass the Christmas morning test immediately, which means to playing your first game of this, you're probably 10 minutes in. It's just punching out this card stock and putting the terrain together, and you're ready to play. You get 1, 2 containers, 2 buildings, some like kind of paintball corners, and some crates to play on, which you will see in the upcoming Let's Play. And if you just play it on the flip side map where you're basically throwing down that quick start mission, you're ready to play out of the box in about 5 minutes. And that leads us to this, which is the rulebook, Flashpoint. It's laid out in a what is Halo, the year's 2560. Humanity was forced to the brink of extinction by an alien alliance known as the Covenant. If you haven't played Halo, I mean, at this point, there's lots of people that haven't played Halo. Most of the people that, realizing that Halo 1 was 24 years ago, it's like, it hurts parts of me. It makes the parts of me that already hurt even more. but they give you an overview of what Halo is. Like, if somebody said to me the other day, that old movie, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and I felt that in my absolute soul. Halo is kind of in the same place. We got our what is to play, our basic like stat block, right? So the name, like Spartan Brawler, their speed, so how many cubes did they move? This is a measurement-free game. If you haven't played Deadzone before, the squares on the battlefield are actually your movement stat, and you can move horizontally and vertically during your movement. So if anything is a cube up, and you'll see all the terrain is roughly measured in that size as well. This guy could move 2, 2, 3 cubes. So he'd move 2 cubes, let's say forward up to another one up, or 3 forward or whatever. And you can move diagonally or horizontally. Your range attack is the number of dice that you need to roll a 4+ on. Sorry, the number you need to roll a or higher on your d8s to get a hit. Using this shooting guns and throwing grenades and stuff like that, it's like his guy's range action 5+. That means he's got a 50-50 chance of rolling a d8 and hitting. Then he's got his fight, and that's what he does in melee. So the Spartan Brawler is a 3+ fighting in melee on a d8. Surviving, roll this number or higher to score a success in a survival test, basically armor save. This guy's got a 5+. Armor value, this is the amount of protection the body's armor protects from incoming attacks. And then health, which is how much damage you can take before you die. So he's got 4 health points. And then keywords, any special keywords this guy's got. So for instance, his keywords are for the weapons that you have. So like for instance, close combat weapon has ESD 1. Energy shields, if you have any. So this guy's got energy shield 2. The number of energy shields the model has at the start of the game and when respawning in the arena. So you start with 2 energy shields in the brawler. Your weapon type, so its name, like whether it's close combat or ranged, its names like the M11 combat knife or the CQS-48 Bulldog, which I believe is called the battle rifle. The range, so the range for this is R2 for the battle rifle, which means it's 2 squares ahead of you. So not counting the square you're in, 2 more towards you would be the range of it. Then we got its armor piercing, so how much armor does it go through? How much armor does it cancel? So AP2 in this case. Keywords like the additional attributes that it has. And then tokens, you can place any wound markers and stuff here for where you put stuff. Then you get your weapon cards. Again, if you add on a weapon, you would put on the side there. So like the MLRS2 Hydra, it has a range 4 instead of an AP of 1, and then the following keywords for fighting. Dice test. So when you roll dice, you roll d8s. How many dice you would roll in the test is going to be based upon the type of test it is. Target number you need to roll is usually your stat. And the minimum number of successes is required in brackets if there's an ability. So like for instance, a 3-dice range test of 1 would require you to roll 3 dice, and every success that's greater than your range stat would give you 1 success to do the ability. A 3-dice fight test would require you to roll 3 dice, and then equal or beat your model's fight stat. Your opponent will then roll a survival test, compare the number of successes you rolled to the number that you got, and then anything else would be hits. So you'd counter, like basically you oppose the dice pools, and that's hits. And whenever you attempt a task, take the number of dice specified and apply any modifiers to the dice rolled as listed in the action description. Important modifiers always add or subtract from the quantity of dice. They never modify the stat or value. So like there's no -1 to hit. If you're -1 to a range test, you go to 2 dice instead of 3. If you're +1 to a range test, you go to 4 dice instead of 3. And the headshot mechanic applies to all dice tests. That means if you roll a d8. Headshots for all dice roll tests, if you roll an 8, it counts as an additional dice exploding. It's possible to keep rolling d8s forever. So every 8 you roll gives you another d8, and they explode and explode and explode forever. Headshots don't apply to single dice rolls to randomly determine a result between 1 and 8, like scattering or weapon drops or whatever. So whenever you do something that's only a single dice, then they don't explode. And then we get our rules. Basic combat, cubes and stacks, how you move around, measuring range, line of sight, so can you see something? Structure of the game, rounds and turns, rolling command dice, things you do using command dice, actions, how you do them, shooting, fighting, and movement. So again, we got stuff here pretty temporally, which I like. They put together the rules in such a way that you approach it from the point of put your stuff together, first thing on the box. Then what is all this stuff, what all these cards mean, and now it's how do you put stuff down and play a game. Cubes and stats already talked about, how do you put models inside the cubes and move around. Measuring range. When you work out distance between 2 models, you always count between the cubes that they're standing in. So from one to the other, the diagram shows ranges from one thing to another. So this guy's 1 cube away from these squares, 2 from this, 3 from this, 4 from this. And then line of sight, basically what defines models line of sight. Can a model be seen? Arranged, both models use the following rules. Only consider parts of the model within the width of its base. So it's got like a column. And then line of sight to a cube. Can you see line of sight into a cube? Past things, past terrain. Game sequence, set the play area, determine who takes the first turn, play rounds, roll command dice, and then take alternating turns doing model by model activations. And then determine a winner after the end phase. Passing a turn, if you have fewer models left to activate than your opponent, you can pass to somebody else. In this case, the remainder of the round involves the other player taking consecutive actions until all their models have activated. Now, you do respawn this game, so even though you only have 4 activations typically, you will come back to life, and most of the round mechanics, you're going to score based on kills. It's a game of team deathmatch in Halo. If you've ever played one of these, you kind of know what you're getting into. Command dice. So using command dice, every round you spend your command dice rolling a number of things. Once you have used one of your command dice, place it to the side until the start of the next round. So basically you have like a limited dice pool of what you can do. Whenever you roll them, you get access to the things on the chart, and those dice can be spent to do that stuff. So if you get a dice symbol, you can add a die to a ranged fighter survival test, and when, you can spend a dice symbol result whenever you make a ranged fighter survive test, including doing your opponent's turn. This is considered a modifier to the dice roll. Advance 1, when you make the active model makes a free action, that's an advance. This advance is restricted to 1 cube, regardless of your speed stat. So basically you can push a model during their activation. So like you can look out, shoot somebody, and then look back behind cover with that 1 cube advance, and it's free. Shoot, make a free shoot action. Assault, make a free assault action. And then special order, activate your fire team special order. This is dependent on what faction or fire team you're playing, but basically it's like your feat in War Machine. You get to do like a little bonus thing. And if anyone has the tactician rule, it adds the tactician number in command dice. So for instance, I believe your Spartan special guy, the leader man, the Mark 7, I believe he has tactician. But they will give you special orders as well on the back here. So the Mark 7 has tactician 1, yeah. So he's gonna give you an additional die to roll. And then there's these are all what your tokens do. So for instance, Spartan special order, snapshot. When one of your opponent's models moves into a cube, which contains one of your models using an advance or sprint action, which would trigger a free assault action, your opponent must specify which of your models is being attacked. It's like an Overwatch, basically. And you make a free shoot action against somebody. So these are sort of like your power-ups you can buy in-game. They're your little, they're your Mario Kart powers that you unlock during the course of the turn. And you can see the snapshot is rewritten in here as well. Actions, you can stand up, crouch, shoot, assault, auxiliary action, so like a special action you have in your card. Advance short, and then sprint long. When a model is activated during play, it can take either 1 long action up to 2 different short actions. Alternatively, a player can choose to activate a model but perform no action, simply mark them as activated, so you can like camp and wait. Standing up, a combatant stands up if they've been pinned. Auxiliary action, something on your card. Advance, a short action, move your move value. Sprint, a long action. The model might move up to their second speed value in cubes. So their first speed value is your walk, the second one's your sprint. And then crouch, a combatant takes the crouch action, gains the crouch token. A model may be moved to reduce their size, basically. Being crouched always allows the model +1 dice in any survival test against ranged attacks. Being crouched also allows the model +1 dice in any ranged test, which allows modifiers. So basically it's like your aim. And then how to do a shoot action, how to do an assault action. Once again, it was already summarized before, but basically making the test, roll your test. Your opponent rolls a survive. If it's a shoot action, they roll their armor otherwise. Turning hits into wounds. So when a model takes hits from a shooting or assault action, its energy shields are depleted 1 for each hit taken until all hits are blocked or there's no shields left. And the shield token gets flipped. So you can see whose shields are up or down based upon the shield status. If there's hits remaining, after all enemy shields are depleted, the model must then go to its armor. However, a model's armor piercing quality can negate a model's armor. Target model reduces the number of hits by its armor rating, but the target's armor is reduced by the AP. So for instance, that first Spartan that we saw here at the beginning just cancels out his own armor. Because it's armor piercing 2 on the ranged Bulldog. However, the Hydra is only armor piercing 1. So you reduce hits taken by 1 for his armor of 2, but doesn't get any armor at all, and just the hits would go straight to damage after his shields go down. And then brawling, which means you move into a cube with somebody else and start fighting. And then some basics on movement and stuff. And then what we get actually is the rest of our specialists for scenarios like respawn points, force movement, getting slammed, falling, scattering when you throw grenades and stuff like that. And then all the special keywords for like active camouflage, all the stuff that you can pick up for your little like little sweeties on the battlefield that you can pick up your little what are they called? Power-ups. And then there's 6 different very familiar sounding scenarios in here. Slayer, Oddball, Capture the Flag, Stronghold, and Stockpile. I love that they're just leaning into the old Halo game types. And then they get your first game on the one side, so that's your setup for the first game, only using 2 models with all your quick ref right there, which we'll use for the Let's Play. And then the rest of it, of course, is using the full game mat. And I love that. And then some advanced scenario setup rules, so like special stuff for reconning, and then some advanced fire team building rules too for how to like play different variations of the game. Game was written by Ian Davies. Thank you, Mantic, for putting in all of your testers and players and like actual like artists in here. Graphics by Duncan Aldis, additional graphics by David Lanza, photography by Ben Sandom, and then proofreading by Neil Kingham and Jasmine Stone. But big thanks to 343 Industries in the back. So what do I think? Well, it's a licensed property. So it is, you have to like Halo, first of all. Is it gonna be fun? Are my kids gonna enjoy it? Absolutely. Are they gonna get all the in-jokes and stuff like that? No, that's for my age demographic. But if you're a millennial or exennial that played the absolute crap out of Halo, I think you probably get a kick out of this. And it is a quick setup, easy to play introduction. Now, I think there's a bigger Halo game available as well, of course, from Mantic, as well as Deadzone and Kings of War that you could play too. But as far as introducing people in a familiar setting with a video game style mechanic to playing a tabletop miniature game, you can't go pretty far off. Does it have a ton of replayability? Probably not, but this is a fantastic pick it up and play kitchen table game. I'm gonna paint the miniatures and we'll probably play it every now and again when a buddy who's a big Halo fan comes into play. I think it's gonna sit in that kind of demographic. Is this a good one to have on your shelf? I don't think it's gonna get old. It all packs up back into the same box. You can break everything down. It's got space for all the terrain and stuff to lay flat after you've like unbuilt it basically, because it's just slotted together. And you can play it over and over again. So it kind of straddles that line between board game and tabletop miniature game. You can paint the miniatures. I might, but I also might not because they're already red and blue, and that's kind of what I'm leaning into already. What I might do is just paint the weapons, if that makes sense, like ink them, paint the weapons and put some basing material on them, but leave the rest of the plastic the way it is. I could do a very cheeky, fun, quick paint job that would look probably pretty good just doing that. The same way that I would paint like model cars. And you would just have a way to play a miniature Halo deathmatch. Of course, a lot of people will say, but I could also just boot up Halo. But that's not really the point, is it? This is a kitchen table miniature game. So good job to Mantic. I think this one's a really good self-contained game. It leans into the Deadzone mechanics, I think, in a good way. And obviously, I think the product offer for what you're getting, it's exactly what it says on the tin. You get a decent amount of terrain. You could use this as a launching off point into their bigger Halo game too if you wanted to. And play that later on, or you can just have this sit as a standalone kitchen table game where I think it probably has the most value. So big thanks for Mantic sending this along for me to check out. And thank you guys for watching. Textile Mash. Have a good night.